Okay, guys, welcome to this training session. What I've tried to do now is I've listened to some of the feedback, and I do appreciate that quite a lot of this training can be quite lengthy. So what I've tried to do is this month I'm going to be talking about summary care records, and what I'm going to try and do is I've got a challenge. I'm going to try and do it in 5 or so minutes. So hopefully the information that will be departing onto you will be covered by this. And I've already lost 1 minute of it now, so I'm not doing too well. So let's move on. Okay, so what is it? Okay, it's electronic summary of key information. Okay, it's got information relating to the medicines, allergies, and adverse drug reactions. Okay, it is sourced directly from the GP record, and um, additional information apart from what we just mentioned can be placed by the GP or other healthcare professionals if the patient consents to it. So that's essentially what the summary care record is. Now, at the present, there are a number of people who can access it. Okay, and some examples include things like the A&E departments, hospital pharmacies, NHS 111, GP out of hours, walk-in centres. There are a few others as well. At the moment, however, um, there was a pilot in place of 140 pharmacies, and that was actually quite positive. Okay, and that's the reason why they're supporting the rollout throughout the whole of the country. So, in June 2015, it was announced that access will be granted throughout, for all pharmacies. The HSCIC commissioned, was basically commissioned by the DH to support access to all pharmacies, and it is expected at present, from what I gather, that full access will be granted. As in, full access is in not necessarily right access. We'll talk about that in a minute, but full access to the actual read version of the record will be available by autumn 2017. Okay, so and also the DH has set aside a little bit of money, quite a bit of money, 7.5 million for training and tools on on this area as well. So why? Okay, the research suggested that there was a reduced need to contact GP for queries, and that the risk of prescribing errors was also reduced. So the whole idea is essentially is patient care. And also, it'll probably save your time as well, having to chase up the GP for a number of different things as well. However, there are a number of problems. Now, at present, from what I gather, it's only read access. There is an argument that, should we really be getting write access to this as well? By write, what I mean, we can actually make an entry into the summary care record. And a really good example of this could be when we give flu vaccinations. I mean, at the present, the recording system is pretty atrocious. So surely something like that could be used for that as well. So it's just something that needs to be borne in mind. Um, there are obviously going to be a lot of training and additional costs. I know the DH has set aside some money. The problem is that going to be enough, and will it cover um, the, the time that's required to train not just the pharmacist up, but remember, you're going to have to train up the staff in the pharmacy as well. A biggie for me is liability. Now, obviously, as we take on more and more clinical roles, the liability issue will crop up. So, for example, how is that going to work, and what will happen if we miss something that was on the care record that we didn't read? And I think the biggest issue as well, another big issue, is breaking existing habits. Now, the problem is that at the moment we don't have access to the SCR, but when it does happen, we're going to have to sort of adapt our own behaviours accordingly as well, and that generally can be quite difficult as well. So there's quite a few issues that that need to be resolved. I'm sure there's more as well, but this is something that I think, especially with the liability, is something that I've got my eyes peeled on. Okay, in a personal opinion, okay, it's a step in the right direction. This is from Farm Plus, by the way. It's a step in the right direction. There are a number of issues that we do need to resolve. Okay, there's liability and problems relating to the accuracy of the record. So, the example could be if a patient was penicillin allergic and the GP decided to prescribe them amoxicillin, and you went ahead and dispensed it, and then that information was available on the SCR. then what exactly would happen as a result of it? Where would the liabilities lie? Obviously, the GP shouldn't have prescribed it, but also it could be argued that the pharmacist should have actually been able to pick that up from the SCR. So those sort of liability issues could crop up. And again, an opinion here is that we really ought to get right access as well to this, even if it's to record whether or not they've had a flu vaccination or something like that. Then that really should be recorded. Another example could be allergy status and so forth as well. So these sorts of things really, I think we ought to be able to write. Okay, then. So what this part of the presentation is basically something to do with London. It may not apply to all Farmers Plus members, but this is something that we've taken on board and asked the LPCs what the next process is specifically within this area. And the feedback that we've got is the following. So basically, what they've mentioned is that the NHS team are working on a London-wide rollout, and not only that, but there are a series of events that have been planned for the beginning of next year or 2016. There are 32 events being planned in total, and one thing that they have actually said is that one person from each pharmacy will be required to attend. It is likely to commence from February 2016 onwards, and at the events as well, there will be the facility, or likely to be the facility, whereby you can also upgrade the smart cards. And that's the feedback that we got from the LPCs. Whether or not those timelines will actually be achieved, I'm not quite sure, but it's something just worthwhile bearing in mind. With all the other things that have been going on, especially with the new funding announcement and so forth, you've got quite a lot on your plate. Again, we're always here for you if you need us. So if you do need us, give us a ring at the office. It's not a problem. We're here to help, and I'm sure we can resolve any issues that you might have as well.